concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
Okay, he's gonna do it. He's gonna go for it. Yep.
This is a little something I made for people who think that old Rotor Riot was the best. People who just are like, do you guys remember Dug-A-Dive? Do you guys remember Dug-A-Dive? I remember Dug-A-Dive. If you can't get enough of Dug-A-Dive, if you're just going to fill up the comments section of Rotor Riot videos with mentions of Dug-A-Dive, I've made, yes, look down here. Here you go, guys. This is it. 10 hours. 10 hours of the Dug-A-Dive on repeat. 10 hours of the Dug-A-Dive. I'm uploading this to YouTube right now. When it uploads, I'll make it public, and then whenever somebody in the Rotor Riot comments says, you know, I miss the old squad, the Dug-A-Dive. Do you guys remember the Dug-A-Dive? The Dug-A-Dive was so good. I wish Rotor Riot would make more content like that. You can just watch 10 hours of nothing but the Dug-A-Dive. You're welcome. Yeah, stream's lagging. Oh, you know what? Hang on. Let's just, there we go. Let's just stop OneDrive. Let's just stop OneDrive from uploading. Sorry, guys. OneDrive was taking all my bandwidth. Sorry about that, guys. No. It'll clear up in a second. Let's just wait for that to catch up. Sorry, I forgot to turn off OneDrive. You gotta turn off OneDrive when you're streaming, guys. Sorry about that. Let's let everybody catch up. What's up, guys? I'm Joshua Bardwell. It's Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome, Americans. This is the stream. I do a Sunday afternoon stream for the people in the Eastern time zones, and on Monday nights I do a special stream just for Americans, where all the Europeans are asleep because it's midnight over there and they have to get their beauty rest so they can wake up and eat bread and drink wine or espresso. But here we're going to eat barbecue and I don't know. How you doing, guys? Oh, it's the Q&A live stream. If you're new here, and if you are new here, say hello. Say hello, guys. If you're new here, welcome. I answer your questions. That's what I do. Here you are in the pleb chat. Brazil. One of my favorite things about going to Brazil was that there was no time zone change. You're in a whole nother country, and yet you still get to bed at the normal time. Brazil. Welcome, Brazil. This is you guys. Switzerland. Hello, Switzerland. In the pleb chat. Hello, plebs. Spain. Go to bed, Spain. This is the American stream. Woody FPV, welcome, guys. Jesus Garcia Leon. Hi, Josh from Mexico City. Jesus. Oh, I did so good with the Garcia Leon, but that I did Jesus. Damn it. There we go. You guys are going to ask me questions. I'm going to answer the questions. I'm going to answer as many of them as I can. But for the ones that I don't answer, because they go by so fast, hit that $sign right here. Throw it out in the super chat. Help support the chat. Make sure I get your question. Or, hey, look at this. Over here, this is my Discord. This is my Discord over here. These are my patrons, and they get to talk to me in the Discord. So isn't that fun for them? And fun for you if you become one of them. We're going to start the stream with some news of the day. And the news of the day we're going to start with is this big old freaking warning. Holy crap. FrSky done pissed off the OpenTX devs is how it seems to me. FrSky have recently started shipping an upgrade module to give access capabilities to existing X10, X10S radios. So, Access is the new hotness from FrSky. Has some additional features. I have a video about what is Access and what does it do and how does it work. You can check that out on my channel. Just search for Joshua Bardwell Access. It doesn't sound right. But some of their premier radios, like the X10, didn't support Access. So the people who spent $500 or $450, whatever, on an X10 were kind of mad about that. So FrSky released this board. But FrSky didn't want just... FrSky, the whole point of Access is to lock out old hardware, to make it so that third-party companies can't just make compatible modules and receivers. FrSky doesn't like that. They only want you to get FrSky receivers from FrSky, which is kind of ironic because, okay, chat, there's a little bit of delay, but answer in the chat. What was the very first FrSky receiver? Was it an original? A brand new? Original product made from whole cloth? Chat? Anybody remember? What was the very first? I gotta wait because there's some delay on the chat. What was the very first FrSky? Futaba. That's right. Kyle K is the first one to get his answer in. No? C. Joe says no. It was not. Futaba copy. Nope. Clone. Yeah, no, it was not an original. That's right. The very first FrSky receivers, FrSky looked at Futaba, who was charging out the ass for their receivers, and they still do. Futaba gear is expensive. Oh, it's high quality. Oh, maybe, yeah, it is. Alex Vanover just told me he flew over a mile. Well, it's like 2.4 kilometers. Not that I care because this is the American stream. He flew over a mile on his Futaba gear. He said, and if you heard the tears of Trappy in the distance this week, Vanover said he got rid of all his Crossfire gear. He just flies Futaba now, 2.4 gig. Wow. Okay, so Futaba's awesome, but FrSky's first product was a clone, basically, of a Futaba receiver. So for FrSky to now be going, hey, nobody be copying our stuff. 1.6 kilometer. Oh, what's 2.4? Sorry, I did the math. I remembered the math wrong. 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. Thank you. My bad. It's American Stream. Stop. So so it's ironic. But this looks like a pretty big snafu. This module implements an authentication check that has the purpose of allowing the module to only work with genuine FrSky radios and not third-party ones, because FrSky doesn't want somebody to take this upgrade module and just stick it in a jumper T16 and now the jumper has access. No, FrSky can't have that. Oh, so then there's this issue where the OpenTX devs didn't get the authentication code soon enough, which meant that the modules wouldn't work with OpenTX radios. But what the OpenTX devs expected would happen is that if the radio didn't have the authentication code, the module would just not work. Well, that's not what happened. What actually happened is that the module appears to work, but then occasionally it just jerks the channels around randomly. Like everything seems fine and you're flying, and then suddenly your quad flips out. Now, no one knows whether FrSky did this on purpose to screw over people who use their hardware in unauthorized stuff. That would be a bold accusation to make, and there's no evidence for that. I asked FrSky, I knew I was going to talk about this tonight. I asked FrSky for a statement. I said, hey, do you have any statement about this? I have not yet heard of a response from them. So I'm going to do the whole journalist thing of saying FrSky did not immediately respond to a request for comment. But holy crap, it just goes to show that, holy crap, people who are using authentic OpenTX firmware with authentic FrSky hardware are getting screwed by FrSky's desire to make sure that nobody else is using their stuff. So anyway, if you have an X10 and if you got this new FrSky Access module, be real freaking careful. Read this release and make sure you get it right. How about that? Ghost Branch FPV in the Discord says, in bird culture, this is considered a dick move. Kyle K in the pleb chat says that's the argument against DRM. It screws over legit users when a mistake is made. Although again, Kyle, it's confusing, and I think if you read between the lines of the OpenTX statement, the devs are like WTF FrSky. That's how I read it. There seemed to be like WTF FrSky. Like if it just didn't work because we don't have the authentication key, that's one thing. But for it to work and then suddenly flip out in flight, I think we can all agree that no transmitter module, no receiver module should ever just randomly send channel values. Not good. Not good. So that's news. When am I going to review the new Fat Shark goggles? Stinger Swarm said last night they were awesome. He tried them. Wiccan FPV. Is there a new Fat Shark goggle that Stinger Swarm talked about that I couldn't say? I couldn't say. I mean, I might, if there were a new Fat Shark goggle, I might be looking at it right now on my desk over here. But I couldn't say anything about that. Not today. Not for another couple days. If there were such a thing, I couldn't say anything about it. Jaden Baker wants me to say the name of emu flight. Is it emu flight or emu flight? It's emu flight. Emu flight. Emu. Is it emu, right? How do you say it? How do you pronounce emu? Emu? Emu. Now you got me wondering. Let's see here. I can't figure out. I don't know. Okay, second news of the day. Oh, no, I could never even acknowledge. Stan in the Discord says, show the goggles. I could never even acknowledge the existence of such a thing before the release date, if it did exist, which I'm not saying it does or doesn't. I'm saying you told me Stingy said it existed. That's very interesting. Penguin. That's right, Kyle K. Penguin. So, news, second topic of the news of the day. How many of you guys watched this live stream from Leave FPV? the highlight of the live stream was he took the receiver module off of a rapid fire and soldered it onto a Fusion. And the point of this live stream was that all of these modules basically use the same IC chip. IC chip is redundant, IC. And the same sort of reference design for their RF modules. I wanted to respond to that because Livy's right, but I think that the conclusion that he seemed to get at in his live stream was, so they're basically the same. And I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. For one thing, I just see performance differences between them. Even if you set aside the unicorn magic of their signal combining. I also think there's other, I mean, I guarantee you if you had 10 different engineers implement that reference design, some of them would do it better than others. Just because there's a reference design for an IC doesn't mean everybody implements it the same. The quality of the capacitors, even if you just assume that some companies are doing binning and some companies aren't. Like some companies are just getting rid of the worst 50% of their modules and throwing them out or whatever. Sourcing of analog components, better capacitors, better inductors, etc. I think there's a lot of room for variation in performance. It is fascinating that he can demonstrate that they all use the same Robbie FPV, you are out of here. I acknowledged you, and now you're fired. That they're all the same. But at the same time, I don't think that means their performance is the same. So, Chris E. Yes, I have tried Clearview 2, Chris E. I have a review, a shootout, including Clearview 2, and you can decide for yourself whether you think it is better than any of the other stuff out there. Rocket in the Discord says, I watched the whole live stream of Liveview. He's saying there's a difference, but not on the RF side, but on the other half of the board, on what they do with the signal put out by the piece. Rocket, I think that's true, but also I think I'm not 100% I agree. Yes, there's a difference. So you've got the RF receiver module, which receives the signal and spits out the video signal. And then you've got the diversity, unicorn, magic, sync reconstruction, signal combining, that part. And that part is clearly different between them. That's basically proprietary. I think there's still differences. I just know, take any 50 components off an assembly line, there's variance in their quality. So to say that the RF modules are essentially the same because they use the same IC, which I may be putting words in Livy's mouth a little bit, but I think that may be an impression, at least that some people got. I'm not sure I agree with it. D Collector AZ, best FPV goggles under 300. Funny you should ask that. I have a video with that exact title. D Collector's FPV goggle around $300. Boom. Question answered. Bling. That's how we do it here, baby. Not quite done with the news of the day yet. Not quite done with the news. Ah! Stan, you're lying. You didn't see him. There's nothing to see, Stan. There's nothing to see. You saw nothing. And if you did see something, I'm going to kill you. No, I'm joking. So let's talk about, good question. What 3D printer am I going with? Ask Wiccan FPV. If you watched yesterday's stream, me and Brent Collier nerded out about 3D printers, and I think we have narrowed it down to almost the 3D printer we're going to go with. I highly recommend you watch the whole stream. If you don't want to spend an hour and a half thinking about 3D printers, here are the ones that, so first of all, I decided I was going to set a price limit of around $300 because people are like, just buy a Prusa Mark III. Just print to your heart's content. They're the best. And I'm like, if all I wanted was to get 3D prints, I could maybe try to justify spending the $750 or $1,000 if you want it pre-assembled on a Prusa Mark III. Acknowledge they're the best. But then I'd be like, well, everybody, I bought a nice printer. How are you guys doing down there? And I wouldn't be able to help other people with it by making content. So here's what we've homed in on, and you guys are welcome to chime in, although this is not the 3D printing stream. This one, a lot of people were impressed with this one who had never heard of it. The Sovol SV01. It is essentially seems to be a lot like an Ender 3 Pro, but it comes with a direct drive extruder and a dual Z-axis. This one I can tell you Sovol has agreed to send me, although I have to hit them up and find out when they're going to when they're actually going to ship it. So this is coming. That's a fact. I'm excited about this one. Now, a lot of people made the argument that you don't really need a direct drive extruder to print flexible filaments. A lot of people said, no, you should really get one. And a whole lot of other people said, nah, I'm doing it. It's okay. You just got to slow down. So the other one that's sort of on the table is obviously the Ender 3. Since the price limit is around $300, we're going to look at the Ender 3 Pro, which has some upgrades that the Ender 3 doesn't. And I've reached out to Creality to see if they'll send me one of these. If they don't send it, I'm going to buy it, and we'll be able to compare it. Yeah. And then here's one that somebody suggested to me today. I've never heard of this one, but if anybody wants to message me, if you have an opinion about this one, it does look like it comes in at the right price point. It's a little hard to tell because, like, some of the details that you might notice, like, I'm not really sure what makes this good or bad, but so these are some things. That's going to be 507 RC. Yeah, no, don't tell them they're going to buy it if they don't send you a free one. I did do this, though. This is a YouTube reviewer's tactic for getting review materials. Say, hey, I'm thinking of doing a comparison between you and your biggest competitor, and they already agreed to send a unit, so would you be interested? It would be dishonest to do that same thing to two different companies, but yeah. I didn't do that. Sovol really has agreed to send me one. Because Seba says the Tronxy is rubbish. Had to spend around 10 hours to get acceptable prints with it. Okay. All right. Prusa Mini, Jojo 4. The Prusa Mini, Jojo, comes in at over $300, but it seems to offer such a strong value that I would consider it. Part of the problem is that if you order a Prusa Mini today, you don't get it till February. There's such a backlog on the Prusas. If somebody can get a hold of... I messaged Prusa. I messaged Prusa and asked them if they would send one for review, and I didn't hear back from them. So if I have to order one, I'm not going to have it till February. It's kind of pointless. So... Now, BFPV says it would be dishonest to one company, but not the other. No, but it's true. If you're a YouTuber and you're under like 1,000 subs, then it's going to be hard for you to get product. That's just what I think. If you're between around 1,000 or 2,000 subs or higher, you should probably be able to get some product from somebody. And if you're around 30 to 50,000 subs or higher, you should be able to get product just by asking. Mostly, it depends, but. A thing you can do is you can name drop all the competitors. So, like, be like, hey, I'm thinking of doing a roundup of 3D printers, and you guys look like you're really at the top of the list. I'm thinking of comparing you and then name drop some of their competitors. And there's a chance that whoever's there will be like, oh, well, we don't want to be left out. You never know. Okay. So there you go. That's your catching up news of the week. Let's get to the questions. And the first question is going to be from the Discord today. Oh, it's technically I've answered some questions already. Extinction in the Discord wants to know, thank you for being a patron, Extinction. If you want to join my Discord server, there's a link to my Patreon down in the video description for as little as $2 a month or more. If you feel like I earned it, you can join my Discord. Extinction says, motor issue or ESC. I plugged in my battery. The ESC and the flight controller initialized normally. Then some weird stuff in the rear motor. I was adjusting the battery strap and the props spin at maybe 0.5% forward and backward as I rotate, like air mode was trying to keep it level. Was it armed? Did you arm it? Extinction. Oh, Extinction is leaving. I'm sorry, dude. DM me, Extinction, if you're not going to be able to. Yeah, I'll help you, but I don't know the answer. I gotta know if it's armed or not. That's my first question. License to Drive says, number of subs doesn't mean anything. I have 1.2K subs, but my videos don't get very many views. Yeah, there's more to it. There's more to it. Jack from Let's Drone Out is here in the chat. Hello, Jack. Also known as Brighton Till I Fly. He's from Brighton. Enoch FPV wants to know that UFDA crew is going to sponsor you with love. Parmesan approved. I don't know what that means. I just want to be one of the cool kids. Mr. Tux is doing a roundup of drone channels. Rotor Riot and Mr. Steele agreed to send me a drone built by them. Would you be interested in partaking? You had me there for a second, Mr. Tux. You had me for 1 second. Oh, you had me for 1 second. Oh, my goodness. See you later, Soli. The Ugly Camel in the Discord. Thanks for being a patron, Ugly Camel. Bought a Mamba V2 from Race Day Quads. It doesn't want to flash. The boot switch has no effect. So if the bootloader button has no effect, then the bootloader button is probably broken, in which case you can try to put the quad into bootloader mode in software. If you go to the command line and type BL, it'll go into bootloader mode, or in the Betaflight setup tab, there's a bootloader mode button. Sometimes those don't work. So if the bootloader button isn't working, that's your ultimate fallback, and the bootloader button may be damaged. You can desolder the bootloader button from the board and bridge the pads manually with like a tweezers. But if you just bought a brand new flight controller and it's got a broken bootloader button, send it back. Ask for a replacement. Race Day Quads and there are vendors who are known for not giving you any customer support, and you shop there anyway for reasons. But a vendor like Race Day Quads, Get FPV, and many others are solid vendors. If you get a defective product from them, contact support, and they'll probably send you another one. They might not even make you send it back. The Ugly Camel, thanks to Caesar FPV for reminding me. Could you just need to run the Immersion RC driver fixer? If you hold down the bootloader button and you plug in and you still see COM3, that means bootloader didn't do anything. But if you hold down the bootloader button and you plug in and you see nothing, you probably need to run the Impulse RC driver fixer. Yeah, license to drive, you can do the CLI to the bootloader button. Nicholas Schwartz wants my JB signature image for the rapid fire module splash screen. Nicholas, you are in more luck than you know, my friend, because look at this. Look at this. There you go. Right here. Nicholas, I already have made a JB initial splash screen. So let's just do, is it not in, it's on OneDrive. So, OneDrive is paused. I can't, okay. I got to do it online. I'm going to get you a link to it right now, and then you'll be able to put it on your, here, and where is it? Rapid Fire Splash, and share, get a link, copy, boom, there you go. Nicholas Schwartz, that's a link to the splash screen for your rapid fire. Enjoy, my friend. Bright Until I Fly. Yeah, you can be a mod, man. Bright Until I Fly is now a mod. You can post a link to the driver fixture. Thank you, sir. Thank you. What's the risk of turning up dynamic notch Q? Asks Wiccan FPV. Stock is 200. I'm at 350, and it came alive. No hot motors. So Wiccan FPV, the Q value is the width of the notch. So if you think of the notch, it's like a V. Sometimes a V is like this. Sometimes it's like this. The higher the Q value, the narrower the notch, and the lower the latency. But the less, the more precise the filter is. So when the dynamic notch filter is usually trying to cut a fairly wide swath, because number one, it's not as precise as the RPM filter, and number two, it's not trying to just it's trying to clean up all kinds of crap, And so the Q value is relatively low. By raising the Q value, we narrow the notch and we make the dynamic filter more precise. But it's also more likely to miss noise, or if there's wider band noise, it may not get it. So in general, you want to raise the Q value if you're running RPM filtering, because the RPM filtering will be very effective at cleaning up the motor noise, at which point the dynamic filter doesn't have as much work to do. Trying to answer a question here in the Discord that isn't as interesting to the whole chat. Vampire 4997 wants to know a good budget motor for a 7-inch long-range quad. Vampire, you can run 7-inch props on 2306 or 2207 motors, but most people seem to prefer a little bit bigger motor, like a 2407 or a 2500. I know there are some half-decent 24 or 2500 motors. I would probably just go, because for a 7-inch long-range quad, you're going to want a lower KV, and you're not going to be pushing the motors super hard. So you don't need the torque and stuff of a bigger motor. Woody FPV is suggesting the Brother Hobby 2507. Let's look at that one. Brother Hobby 2507. Brother Hobby makes a good motor. What's the price? Nah, see, it's $25 though. That's the problem. $25 is not a budget motor. It's a great motor, but not a budget motor. So for a budget motor, I would probably be looking at a typical mid-price like 2306 or 2207 motor. There are people who are going to say, no, you need bigger motors for 7-inch. You don't, especially if you're doing long range and you want. And what I would do is I would get like a 1650 or 1700 kV motor designed for 6S and run it on 4S, and that will bring your amp draw way down. You won't have a lot of power. Don't go trying to like pull out of a power dive, but for longer range, I think it's going to do really well. Skadoosh is suggesting the Get FPV Xylo motors. Let's have a look at those. Skadoosh. Anything from Get FPV is going to be a good motor. Let's try Get FPV. Just, you know, all their stuff is good stuff. I wouldn't get the 2205, but yeah. See, look. 2207, 2250 kV, 1750 kV. There you go. So here's a 2207 1750 kV for $19. I would call that mid-priced. Maybe not budget. You know, that's a fine. I wouldn't go down to 2205 though. Sam Gooks were good. Can you still get those? DYS is out of business, but there's still stock of Sam Gook around. Get like the 17, no, it's 2206 again. So how about the 1750 kV 2306? That's a decent one. I would probably put that on a, and that's only $10. Buy spares. Oh, out of stock. Yeah, DYS is out of business, so you're not going to be able to find those for very much longer. The Dufour FPV is suggesting the Racer Star 2508. Here, Dufour, I've never been able to bring myself to recommend Racer Star motors. I know that a lot of people do fine with Racer Star motors, but they're so cheap. And I think that like the Sam Gooks, when I saw the Sam Gooks for $10, I was like, okay, for $10 you're getting your value, you're getting your money's. It's not a good motor, but for $10 it's a good value. The Racer Stars have just never done it for me. Those Racer Stars come in at $6 or $7 for like a 2205, 2306 motor, and I just don't buy it. It just, I mean, Noah Reinhardt says they're made by T-Motor. Maybe they are, but it doesn't mean they're great motors. Anyway. Clouds Capone wants to know of a research page that shows how to control servos in 4.1. Using servo tilt, the accelerometer controls the servo with channel forwarding, perhaps? Can't find anything in GitHub. I'm going to give you the answer, but it's not a great answer. It's not a great answer, my friend. So here is the page, servos and servo tilt. That's the page you want to be on. And the problem is that in Betaflight, you have to figure out what timer and pin to put your servos on. And it's a pain in the ass. So sometimes you can get it working, but a lot of times it's a struggle. Thank you to Kush FPV. There's no super chats in this stream. Is everything okay, guys? Kush FPV, thanks for $1. No question. First super chat of the stream. Thank you. UAV Tech is here. UAV Tech is buying Racer Star motors and Zop batteries all day. You snob. Yeah, that's me. Emax Eco Motors, good choice. Yeah, Canadian Drone Guy, I've got suggestions on my website, fpvknowitall.com, where you can find best quadcopter parts. This is my shopping list where I suggest parts, and here are motors. So, for example, this 3B Hobby 2306, okay, I wouldn't get it at 2500 kV for 7-inch. That's not a good choice, especially not long range. But you could probably find this same motor in a lower kV. There's also the 3B Hobby 2207. Now, this one's coming in around around 18 bucks, so it's not as cheap. The Emax Eco motors, I don't have those. There's also the Zing E motors. They're the budget line from Zing. Any of these motors in the $14 or $15 price range, with a kV around, say I think if you just get 1700 kV and run it on 4S, you'll still be able to fly. You'll get decent endurance and so forth. Let's see here. People are trying to get me to leak information about these goggles that Stingy talked about. I don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing I could leak because it's nothing. I don't know anything about them. I certainly couldn't say anything about them. Blink once if they're 4.3 and twice if they're 16.9. Right? Popular Mechanics? No, I'm just joking. Chris E says, wouldn't a wider stator be best for 7-inch? Yeah, in general. I think so. Now, BFPV wants to do a $1 million super chat. I would love for you to do that. The stream would end immediately. And I would, I don't know. I'd probably take a vacation. Can you see anything in the reflection in the bottle? I don't think you can. Keith Sloiter. Keith, I apologize if I said your name wrong. Keith Sloiter just saw the Rotor Riot video where Zoe used 4 18650 batteries to fly a quad. What are your thoughts? Here's the problem with 18650s. They don't have high discharge rates. So if your quad is only going to pull 20 or 25 amps, 18650s can do it. And in fact, 18650s have more energy density than lipos. You can discharge them down to 2.5 volts per cell, but they just don't take you can't just full throttle blast to the moon on 18650s. Now remember that what Zoe was doing was a hover test. For a hover test, 18650s are good, per gram, they're good, but not for like racing or freestyle. People are saying things in the chat, and I can't tell if you're telling the truth. People are saying things that Steele or Stingy said about these Fat Shark goggles that I don't know anything about. And I feel like Steele and Stingy are talking about them. Are they violating an NDA? Are they breaking a release date? Or are you guys just trying to get me to leak information by lying? Steele said they had 50-degree field of view. Oh, that's not true. They do not. Oh. No, it's not going to be that easy. Doesn't matter. Got some super chats. Thank you. Oh, there they are. You guys were just holding back. Hangtime FPV, thanks for €5.49. Betaflight 4.1 active RPM filtering. Bad mid throttle oscillations. Never had it on 357. So make sure that you've got your motor pull count set correctly, or the RPM filtering won't work. Try turning off RPM filtering and seeing if that's messing with you in some way. If you really want to, you can recreate 357. The thing is, as Mark Spatz, who's in the chat, will tell you, the PID controller in 3.5 and 4.0 and 4.1 is fundamentally the same. So you can set 4.1 up to have the same filtering and PID setups as 3.5.7 if you really want to. I would say try turning off the RPM filtering. Usually that fixes mid-throttle oscillations to have it on, but you never know. Maybe there's something going wrong there. Joe Graves FPV, thanks for $5. Noah Reinhardt, thanks for $5. Decodester, thanks for $2. Changed frame, getting video noise. Coax touching cap. I mean, if you change the frame, then presumably maybe it has to do with the antenna mounting, or maybe you got your, oh, here's a good one. If your bottom plate was not the same thickness, then your motor screws could be too long and touching your motor windings. MC's Creations, thanks for 10 reais, Brazilian reais. Could you wish me luck? I'm doing my first quad review and I'm going to fly it tomorrow. Good luck, dude. Good luck. Ian Paluska, thanks for $2. Is that the HX115 in the background? It is. My review of the HX115 is coming out tomorrow. It's coming out tomorrow. And I'll give you a little preview. Hang on. Hang on. Here we go. This is a really good flying quad. I can't believe how controllable it is, even just here, like just doing these straight lines. Usually a 3-inch just feels all over the place. It's so locked in. I'm gonna kill this battery. We're at 3.5 volts, so let's just bring it in. It's really good. It's really good. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and this is the Beta F. Okay. Yeah, so that's coming out tomorrow. HX115. How about that? Look forward to that. Okay. Don't use Betaflight OSD yellow to yellow. To try to get rid of the video noise. Yeah, so going back to the question about video noise, I'm going to assume you didn't change any of your wiring. So then where's the video noise coming from? And like things like the video transmitter ground or the camera ground, if you didn't have noise in the old quad, then I don't know why you would on the new quad. So I would lean towards something like the SMA connector from the antenna or the motor screws. Yeah. Chamber. Everybody thinks they could see. Well, it's true. It's true. You can see the reflection of goggles in my bottle. There it is. There it is, everybody. Hang on. Oh, no. Oh, no. The secret is out. Okay. MC's Creations wants to know about the Nazgul 5. MC's Creations, I'm working on my review of the Nazgul and the Sidora. I actually flew the Sidora today. I haven't flown the Nazgul yet. The Sidora is a good flying quad, but it has some quirks in the way they ship it with the Betaflight configuration that really confuse me. Like they ship it with air mode off, and they ship it with angle mode 100% across the band. So angle mode is just on permanently. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is there. But it's a good foundation. I just wish they'd configured it differently. I haven't flown the Nazgul yet. Dropkick Johnny, if you're looking for the Discord link, message me on Patreon. I'll give you the link. Macy wants to know, JB, are you willing to give micros another chance with Betaflight 4.1? What do you mean, Macy, another chance? I've sort of continued to put out reviews. I just reviewed a few weeks ago the Larva X. I've been more into micros than I ever have been. In fact, look at this. Look at this. What's this? Speaking of micros. So this is the Acrobrat build, and believe it or not, it's finished. Except, I haven't put the side plates on, and, oops, look at this. This is the Runcam Hybrid. You can't see this, but right down here on this corner, there's two tiny microscopic resistors that I knocked off with a little tweezers while I was tightening. Oh, sorry, it's on this. No, it's on this side. I knocked it off while I was tightening this nut down, and it's basically ruined. So, oops, don't do that. So I got to wait for another one of these to come in the mail. That's $100 freaking I destroyed. Oops. So the heck with you. And iFlight sent me this flight controller. I said, I'm doing a build. You want to send me a flight controller? And I said, okay. So they sent me this flight controller, and I just finished last week recording this build. And iFlight said, oh, no, we've changed it. That was a prototype. This flight controller has plugs, and they changed it to a direct solder for reasons. And I was like, you're not going to tell me that it was a prototype? I did a whole build video about it. So they're going to send me the updated one, and I'm going to have to update the video. Unfortunately, that means the Acrobat build video will be further delayed. But yeah, the rear mounted. That's right. The Acrobat is a really cool frame. This is Umagod's 3-inch frame. And it has 3 sets of 20mm mounting. So you can do flight controller and ESC in the back. You can do a split up front. It's got all kinds of options. It's a really cool frame. So I'm looking forward to getting to fly it. But it could fly today. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait for iFlight to send me another. Yeah, and then Umagod's released the Acrobat V2. But that's kind of my fault. I've been working on this build or preparing for this build for so long. Yeah. No, Jojo, those resistors are so small. Cesar FPV, video coming up on how to set up the T16 with OpenTX Companion and T16 setup to use the Companion. Cesar, I have a video set up about how to transfer your models over from like a Tyrannus using Companion. Currently, you have to download nightly builds to run the T16 with Companion, technically. So I'm going to wait for that to actually come out. Okay, and then maybe I'll do it. But I have a T16 setup video already out, and I'll be making more. Let's see. Me, myself, and I in the Discord wants to know. Can you tell us what's the? Yeah. So this is the flight. This is the ESC on the back. This is the VTX. And then underneath the VTX is the flight controller. So this is actually designed as a 3-high stack. That's how iFlight ships it. And the VTX is pinned to the flight controller. And then there's a wire going between the ESC and the flight controller. But the Acrobat doesn't have room to do a 3-high stack, so I moved the ESC to the back. No, Rift Wraith, trust me, this is so small. I couldn't do it. Stan, I did not have to extend the motor wires. These are the stock wires. In fact, I shortened them slightly. But these are the stock wires on these iFlight Zing 1507 motors. And in fact, look what they did. Can you see that? They put my initials. They laser engraved my initials on these motors. That's so cool. I'm so psyched. Is Ciati here? Ciati FPV is here. Ciati's just happy to see an Acrobat. Yep. Let's see. Cesar, somebody in the chat, I missed your name, I'm sorry. I missed your name, but is asking, should they get the Jumper T16 or the FrSky X9 Lite? I said the X9 Lite? That's a tough one. The X9 Lite is about $90, $100, maybe a little less. And the T16 is $160. I think for a straight up beginner, the X9 Lite is a really solid radio, and at a price of $90, it's very compelling. You would also want to look at the QX7 though, which comes in around $100, I think $105. The QX7 is more or less the same price as the X9 Lite, but the QX7 has the ability to bind to D8 mode receivers, which the X9 Lite doesn't, at least not without an external module, which adds to cost and complexity. I think as a beginner, you're more likely to be flying microquads, and those microquads are more likely to have D8 receivers, at which point. But I wouldn't blame you as a beginner if you said, screw it, I'm going with the X9 Lite, and I'm just not buying any D8 quads. That's a valid decision. The X9 Lite is a newer radio, and it's got a little bit of nicer build quality. Von Zek in the Discord wants to know if I flew the HX-115 with 3S. Von Zek, here, let's put this guy in the spotlight. More micros for Ciati to enjoy. Here, get my soda stream out of here. So this is the Beta FPV HX-115. I flew this mostly on 3S, 450 milliamp hour. And on the 3-blade props, pardon me, I got a hiccup. 3S HQ 3030 by 3 props. It was quite good. Very good for freestyle. Very controllable throttle curve. I was super excited. I did try it on 4S. This is a 520 milliamp hour 4S, and it just absolutely rips. It's amazing. I still think I would prefer it on 3S for just general flying around. Let me get a couple more of these super chats out of the way before I just get all distracted. Vampire4997, thanks for $2. Ollie Steph, thanks for £5. Jacob Smith, thanks for $20. Jacob Smith, the high donator of the night, $20. It's a very, very generous of you, Jacob. My first FPV setup is going to be here. Now I have to answer his question. My first FPV setup is going to be here soon. I have most of the knowledge I need to get started, but I have no confidence with Betaflight. Any videos I should watch to learn how, or should I just learn as I go? Jacob, I would suggest... that you check out this series of mine. Let's see, that's part 11. I think you should start on part 10. Where's the playlist? Jacob, here's the playlist. Now, I'm going to paste this playlist in the chat for you, Jacob. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, but I'm not building that quad. You're 100% right. But after you've built the quad, you're going to need to set up the transmitter, bind the receiver, do everything I do starting in part 10 of this build series and going to the end. You will need to do all of these things. Now, the exact steps I take, sometimes they will be the same as yours. Like your BL Heli setup is probably going to be identical to mine. Some of the things will differ slightly, but this is an outline of everything you need to do. And then you'll know that when you've gone through these steps, you're ready to go. So that's what I would suggest. Woody FPV, also giving $20, tied for the lead with Jacob Smith. It's not a race, guys. You don't have to compete to see who can give the biggest super chat. That's not what it's about, guys. I did hear Stingy got a $99 super chat, though. So, just saying. Woody, thank you for $20. Just it's about time I showed my appreciation. Thank you, Woody. It's very generous of you. Static, $2. Best indoor brushless quad. Ciati, jump in. Jump in on the chat, Ciati. I'm gonna say, is it the Tiny Hawk S? It might be the Tiny Hawk S. I'm still a big fan of the trash can, the Yashin trash can. I think the trash can beats the Mobula. Ciati's making dinner. Best indoor brushless quad, Ciati. I think I'd probably go for like the Tiny Hawk S, because the Tiny Hawk S for indoor you want ducted props, or you want prop guards. That's a fact. The Tiny Hawk S can go indoor and outdoor. Let's see. THS is almost indestructible. UR65, John Big Boot A. I've never personally flown a UR65. I do know a lot of people like them, but oh yeah, Ciati, thank you. Wow, yeah, no, Ciati has tested this. I haven't actually got this yet. The Newbie Drone brushless tiny whoop. Is that out, Ciati? Is it out? Where is it? Tiny Hawk Freestyle is not an indoor quad in my book, Caesar FPV. You can fly it indoors, but I think most people would not be happy with the experience of flying the Tiny Hawk Freestyle indoors. It's not out yet. Oh, Ciati says it's not out yet, but worth the wait. He says the Newbie Drone brushless whoop is the best. Interesting. Tiny Hawk S. The THS is the Tiny Hawk S. I think I got to say the Emax Tiny Hawk S at least tonight, especially because of its versatility. On 1S, you can fly it indoors, and it's very manageable. On 2S, it kind of rips outdoors. I mean, it's still a 2S Micro. Let's see here. Josh Feltz, thank you for $5 on the Get FPV chat. Click help before I buy. That's why you didn't get me last week on the stream. Josh, I'm so sorry, Josh. Last week on the stream, I was on Get FPV site, and I just clicked the get in contact with an expert, and they were closed. It was after hours, and I kind of made fun of it. So Josh Feltz is apologizing or explaining why that happened. Click help before I buy. Dreams FPV, thanks for $2. Crunked FPV, thanks for $2. RC and Power. Crunked FPV is saying RC and Power 2207.5 18650 kV. Been running ethics out. Crunked, I don't actually see a question though, is the problem. So, oh my God. Oh, here it is. There it is. Mod Doctor just gave $200 in the super chat. That's the biggest I've gotten. I know I got $100 before. I'm pretty sure that's the biggest super chat I've ever gotten. So thank you, Mod Doctor. That's very generous of you. I really appreciate it. So John Jones wants to know if I've done any custom programming on the Jumper T16, like adding my custom logo to the screen. Yes, I have. And in fact, I shot a video of how to do it. Although it's a very short video, I haven't released it yet. But check this out, guys. Oh, you can't quite see the screen, but it's that picture I shot of my car with my JB logo. Yeah, so it's really simple. You just need the image dimensions, and it's a PNG. Mod Doctor, if you're not already a patron, contact me. I'll give you access to the Discord server. Okay. Yeah. Philip wants to know, do you know why the gyro and the quads are not used for live feedback to show how the drone is turning? It is, Philip. What do you mean? The gyro is... That's like what all of the flight of the quad is based on the gyro. Are you thinking like you should have... I'm not sure what you're asking there, dude. Try again, Philip. Ciati wants to do a light painting shoot of my car. That sounds fun. Ciati, when you getting your Miata fixed, dude? Ciati wrecked his Miata. Low speed wreck. No one was hurt, but he had some frame damage to his Miata. I hear he's got a matching color Miata coming down that was wrecked. It was in a rear. His was in a front end collision. The other one was in a rear end collision. So now he's going to be able to get the front end fixed. Let's see here. Lancer in the Discord, thank you for being a patron, Lancer. Finally got my trash can. I tried to set it up in Betaflight 4.0. The triggers tab wouldn't show any triggers while the quad was plugged in. The triggers tab? I don't know. What's the triggers tab, Lancer? What's the triggers tab? Let me ask him. Anybody know what the triggers tab? See, I'm sure that he's just a... Yeah. Wiccan FPV wants to know if there are any benefits to clear props. Some people, Wiccan, do say that the coloring put into props weakens the props. I do know that some of the black props were weaker than the colored props. They were made out of a different kind of plastic. But I don't know if clear props are stronger. I'm not sure about that. Crunked FPV wants to know my thoughts about the RC and powers. I've been running Ethics Stouts, but I ran out of space. The RC and Power are 2207.5. I've had good experiences with RC and Power motors. So, I mean, I would never be caught dead in public saying that the RC and Power motors were better. Dang it. Now look. I set you up so you would not use my keyboard shortcuts, and now it's doing my keyboard shortcuts. Stop it. It's switching tabs on me when I switch scenes. Stop it. I would never be caught dead saying that these were better motors than Steel Stouts. So I will say, though, I mean, RCN Power makes, if you just look at the machining on the motors, you can clearly see that these are carefully machined. They're high-quality motors. Some people might even be into this color scheme. I would have no problem saying, you know, hey, if you're leaning towards these motors, go for it, especially at a price of $22. The thing is, though, Crunked FPV, the Ethics Stouts are the ones with the higher powered magnets. Normally, when people go from steel motors, like the Silks, I say it's going to be a real different experience. The Silks are linear, smooth, and not too powerful. And if you go to almost any other quadcopter motor, they're going for power, and you're going to get a really different experience. But the Stouts are the ones with the high-powered magnets, so it's probably about right. Popular Mechanics says, aren't those the same as the Vanovers? Popular Mechanics, you trying to start something? You trying to start something here? When Vanover released his motor, RCN Power is, in fact, the OEM for the Vanover motors. And people said Vanover just slapped his... This is a 2207. Where's the 2207.5? I think this might be it. He said Vanover just slapped his name on the motors. And that's actually... There's two reasons that's not true. One is that these motors were developed by Vanover in partnership with RCN Power. So then RCN Power released their own version of his motor with his name not on it. That just happens when you OEM. You develop a product with them, you test fly it, and then they're like, well, we're just going to release our own version of it without your name on it and see what sells. But RCN Power actually made a statement that said that the motors are manufactured on the same line, but then the Vanover motors are basically binning the motors that have the best balance, the highest quality, whatever. Those are the ones that get turned into Vanover motors. At least that's what they came out and said. So Lancer says the modes tab is not showing up. It's not showing up in which Betaflight version, Lancer? Let's go back and check. Yeah, Lancer, the issue is that you're... Oh, Lancer, on the trash can, if you go to the modes tab and there's no modes, here's the video for you, my friend. I have a video about this. They shipped the trash can with a pre-release version of Betaflight. And if you flash that version, the modes tab doesn't appear. Where the bloody... It's Mobula. I didn't put trash. There we go. And so what you need is this video, my friend. Basically, you need to flash the release version of 4.0. So, okay. Yeah, okay. Cesar FPV, wasn't Vanover the guy who couldn't tell the difference between 2207 and 2306? That's not exactly what happened in the... Oh, wait, get back on my face. That's not exactly what happened in the video. Why did he release 2207.5? The 2207.5 actually is a 2207 stator size, but the magnet hangs a 0.5 millimeter off the edge. Or is that Cricket's motor? I think that's Cricket's motor, actually. Maybe it's also Vanover's motor. The idea is that by letting the bell be slightly larger than the stator, you sort of capture more of the magnetic field flux. You get more power and more efficiency. So... I have every confidence that Vanover is very, very selective about when he flies. He was handed 2 different quads and not allowed to play with PIDs or change props. And I think he got wrong. I can't remember what the outcome was. It wasn't that he couldn't tell the difference. Maybe he guessed it wrong. But I have every belief that if you changed a single thing about his race rig, he would notice the difference. So... Do4 FPV is suggesting that show unused modes is the problem. That's a good suggestion. Let's make sure we get that. This is an answer to Let's see here. This is an answer to Lancer in the Discord. Let me plug in my computer here to my quadcopter. If I can find the USB port. There it is. There we go. And we'll go over here. Betaflight 4.0 added, I think this was added in Betaflight 4.0, the hide unused modes. Thank you for that suggestion, chat. If you have this enabled, no, I guess the unused modes would disappear. Lancer, maybe that's also what's happening. It's another guess, perhaps. Kyle Vans in the super chat. Thank you for £5. What causes rapid fire to move the image across the screen, like what happened in your emu flight video? If the sync pulses from the camera are not very consistent, then rapid fire gets confused when it tries to reconstruct the sync pulses, and the screen rolls across the screen. Kyle Vans, what you need to do is this. Ever since I did this, this hasn't been a problem anymore. I need a battery. Hold on. I'm just going to reach over here to this other set of goggles that I have that I was testing today. You know, just sitting over there out of the way of any reflections, and get this battery. Here's what you need to do, Kyle. On your rapid fire, you need to go to sync lock and change it from default. Can you see that? Default to short. And then you will be safe to be in RF mode 1, rapid fire 1. And what that does is when you change, what rapid fire can detect when it has lost sync and the screen might be rolling. And what it'll do is it will disable sync reconstruction so that the screen doesn't roll. But then you could get worse image, okay? And you lose your OSD. By setting the sync lock to the shortest possible time, as soon as rapid fire thinks, oh crap, if I lost sync, it drops from rapid fire mode 1 to mode 2, and your screen doesn't roll. It's still not perfect, but you could also just fly in mode 1 all the time, although you won't get as good a coverage. Should I run my gyro and PID frequency at 8.8? Asks Dan. Stan, if you're running an F7 processor, yeah, absolutely. Run Betaflight at 8.8. If you're running an F4 processor and you're running RPM filtering, then you should probably do 4.4. What's the purpose of Clean Flight today? Asks Mr. Tux. I always thought of it as outdated Betaflight predecessor. Who should fly it today instead of Betaflight? Mr. Tux, I know that Clean Flight is the passion project of Dominic Clifton. Dominic develops the SP Racing line of flight controllers, and he still makes flight controllers, and all of the new things that he puts into the SP Racing H7 come out in Clean Flight first. Betaflight is slower. If you're not running an SP Racing flight controller, I'm hard pressed to say that you should run Clean Flight. Let's see here. Okay. Miasma FPV in the Discord. Thanks for being a patron, Miasma. Is Smart Audio 2.1 broken in Betaflight 4.1? I'm experiencing issues with my Pro 32HV saying statics in the Smart Audio menu. Statics would mean that you either have the wrong VTX table configured or your wiring's not correct. Are you sure that the Pro 32HV is Smart Audio 2.1? I would try the 2.0 VTX table. I think only like the Evo. Well, the Pro 32... I don't know. I would try the 2.0. Lone Lion Gaming wants the Discord link. Lone Lion, the way to get the Discord link is to join my Patreon. There's a link down in the video description for as little as $2 a month or more if you feel like I earned it. And then you can join the Discord. Ghost Branch FPV, thanks for confirming that the Pro 32 is Smart Audio 2.1. I couldn't remember. Yeah. Luke Till, thank you for $5 super chat. No question. Wesley Chen wants recommendations for a toothpick or 2.5-inch micro frames, considering either the Mode 2 Splinter or the Massive Droner. Frankly, Wesley, either one of those, you couldn't go wrong. Catalyst Machine Works makes amazing stuff. Let's take a look at the Mode 2 Splinter from Pyrodrone. Does anybody know if this was designed by Rugi? Did Bob Rugi design this? He designs most of Pyro's frames, but I don't know for a fact. If Rugi designed it, then again, I mean, you can hardly go wrong. I would have to say, if the Mode 2 Splinter is designed by Bob Rugi, Kebab FPV, he just is so prominent and so dedicated to the toothpick world. I mean, knowing nothing else about, let's face it, I don't fly a lot of micros. I certainly don't build a lot of micros. But knowing nothing else about him, I would lean towards that just because of his reputation. However, let's look at the Catalyst Machine Works Massive Droner 3-inch. This is just a completely different build, isn't it? You said toothpick. This isn't a toothpick. This is a 3-inch racing quad. So if what you really want is a 2.5-inch toothpick style quad, the Mode 2 Splinter is the one for you. That's the one for you. It's not Kebab's original frame. Thank you guys in the chat for clearing that up. I mean, but compared to the Massive Droner is a great frame for a 3-inch racer, but it is just not a toothpick. Let's see here. Get FPV Tech is online. There we go. They are online. Calabrese 221 says, Joshua, you just recently showed us how to get RSSI on our goggles without having to use aux channels. That is a video I made this week. If you run Crossfire, then you no longer have to give up an aux channel in order to get RSSI. You get one free aux channel back. Isn't that exciting? And here is a video about that. I will put that in the chat for you if you want to check that out. You do need to be using Crossfire 293, 294 or higher. But what should the failsafe warning be? Good question. I would have to refer to the TBS knowledge base for that. I don't know off the top of my head what the low RSSI should be. The other thing is that some people are reporting that they're getting different RSSI readings in the OSD than like in their telemetry. And some people have questioned whether Betaflight is skewing the RSSI or calculating it differently than Crossfire is. I haven't verified that. Do I have a Crossfire quad handy to check that with? It'd be very interesting to verify. Oh, here's a Crossfire quad. Where's the battery? Okay. Yeah, oh no. Now I will take my props off where you can't see. Let's see here. Let's check the telemetry and see what the RSSI is reading as. Hang on. Okay, so that's going to be under model. It's too bright. Can I turn down my screen brightness? Hang on. Backlight. Brightness. Well, that's as low as it goes. It's still too bright for the camera. Okay. Let's see here. Model, page, to telemetry, and 1 RS 1920 dB. 2 RS. Okay. All right. It says 20 dB. What do we see in the OSD? I can't share that with you guys, of course, because -20 dB. So it looks like the RSSI value in the OSD is 18, 17, 16. Yeah. It looks like the 1 RSS and 2 RSS values seem to be the negative. So higher numbers are weaker. It's 20 dB in the telemetry screen, but -20 in the -20 in the OSD. But it does seem to line up. Ooh, use the FPV watch I got from Quadbox. That's a good idea, but it's too late now. Wesley Chen wants to know if I've been recognized in the street yet. Yep, I sure have, Wesley. In fact, recently I was on a trip, and I was in the Charlotte airport, and I was literally just leaning on the wall on my phone, and somebody said hello to me and recognized me just randomly in the Charlotte airport. That's probably the best one. But I regularly have people notice, and semi-regularly in public. Spent Kid, I have not flown the Remix V2, so I couldn't comment on that. Justin Pitsy, thank you for $10 in the super chat. I have an RXSR in a Nazgul 5 using F port, and the RSSI on my radio is normal, but in my goggles, the highest it goes is 45. What could cause this? Justin, you need to, if you're using F port, you need to set the RSSI scale to 200 in the Betaflight command line. That's just a thing you have to do. So 45 is actually 90 RSSI. You got to set the RSSI scale to 200. That's the answer. My face was not up again. So that's your answer, Justin. Rocket says, if someone does recognize you, do you want to be left alone, or do you enjoy people coming up to say hi? Rocket, I feel really privileged that that I'm like in a position where strangers notice me. So I never mind, and I always try and be gracious about it. Yeah. No, I mean, if you think about it, I spend all day answering emails, answering messages from random people who need help with their quads. So, if somebody's going to come up and say hello in public, it's pretty much the same thing. So, if you see me in public, feel free to say hi. Borges FPV in the Discord wants to know, can I change from 4.06 to 4.1 on my Maytech F722 SE and copy over my CLI commands, or do I have to start from fresh? Borges, I have a video about what you can and can't copy over to Betaflight. I'm going to paste that right here. Hang on. Right here. Borges, this is a video you want. You can copy over almost all. You can copy over almost all of your configuration from 4.0 to 4.1, but there are parts of the configuration that if you copy them over, you'll screw you up. So you just got to know what's safe to copy and what's not. Chet W, thank you for $5 in the super chat. Maytech F411 wing troubleshoot. Drivers updated, gets the DFU but will not flash. USB device successfully closed. Chet, if you get to DFU, I have never seen a board that would get to DFU and not flash. I'm not joking. And unfortunately that means I'm not sure I can help you with this. Thank you for your $5 donation. That is really freaking weird. Like, usually it won't get to DFU, but once you get to DFU, it just flashes. So, I don't know. Anybody else experience that? Arun Kumar, will the new jumper work with liftoff? Yes, absolutely. You can plug it in. Nismo says I have that same problem with the H7. I know that if your flight controller is the SP Racing H7, there are some quirks to flashing it. You used to not be able to flash it with Betaflight 4.0. You needed to use some special tools. Dropkick Johnny is suggesting a stuck bootloader button. I'm not sure about that. Once you're in DFU mode, the bootloader button is ignored. Dan Potter, if you want to know what's in the video, check it out. Just go watch the video. It shows it. Just there you go. Go watch the video. Quadrophenia, thank you for that suggestion. If you have a receiver or a GPS, sometimes that will interfere with the flashing process. But Quadrophenia, in my experience, that usually means you don't get DFU mode because the microprocessor is listening on the wrong UART. However, it is possible that you would get DFU and then your GPS or your flight or your receiver could be screwing you up. Unfortunately, Chet, the answer in that case, like, it's to desolder the GPS, which is annoying. June Loco 619 has been asking the whole stream for over an hour if I can do a video on how to solder and set up an XM Plus on the Larva X. Well, June Loco, here's what I'm going to do for you. Because I actually gave away my Larva X. I do a monthly giveaway to my patrons, and it was one of the things I gave away in the giveaway, so I don't have it. But I'm going to try and find the flight controller for the Larva X. Look at that. Look at that happy guy. Look at that happy guy. Larva X beats all micros. No, it doesn't. Doesn't beat this one. I'm going to say it. The HX115 is in every way better than the Larva X. Sorry. Sorry, Stu. You're out of... No. N-O. Wrong. Downvote. Hang on. I got to do this. I got to do this. Wrong. There you go. Nuh-uh. Downvoted. There we go. Okay. Back to the task at hand. Crazy BF4 Pro V3. Let's find that flight controller somewhere. Let's find a pinout for that flight controller for you, June Loco. Okay, perfect. June Loco, this is what we need. Okay? Now, you want to... Come on, baby. Get in there. Oh, no. No. Open image in new tab. Oh, my God. Everything has to be so complicated. What we need for an XM Plus is a UART receiver pad. Receiver pad is going to be RX. So, let's see here. Here's TX1. Video in and video out. TX1 is probably... Are there any other... TX2. Okay, we don't have a lot of options here, guys. Wow. Okay, so... Give up. Quit. You're done. Just don't do it. No. Hang on. Is there something on the bottom? Please say there's something on the bottom. Where's the dang? Why can't I go back? Did I close the tab? Hang on. Nope. Wow. FlySky version. Wait, that's the FrSky version. Why don't you... So the question, I guess, is which flight controller you have. Because if you have the one with the FrSky receiver already on it, then you don't need to solder up an XM Plus. Let's see. Crunked FPV, thank you for pointing that out. Thank you. That's what I was wondering, but I wasn't sure enough to say it. Crunked FPV is and others are saying the IRX1 is inverted RX1. That is the pin you want on this flight controller for an XM Plus. S-Bus goes to IRX1, and then we got 5 volt and ground over here. That's what you want. Thank you, guys. The people are saying Albert Kim is a tutorial. Does he have a tutorial? Fix your crazy bee. No. This one? Oh, yeah, this is the one. FSPI. So this is, yeah. So here's the video you want. Great. Great. There you go. Junloco, but that's a tutorial for you from Albert Kim. But what you really need to know is you want to use the IRX1 pad for S-Bus, and then you got 5 volts in ground, and it's going to be UART1. UART1. There you go. Swiss FPV, I think he has the SPI receiver already, and he wants to put an XM Plus on it because because it has terrible range. Wesley Chen, I don't know the details of the Quadbox story. You would have to ask Quadbox about that. Sorry about that. Mr. Tux wants to know, what was that tiny blue quad that was so amazing? Well, if you really want to know, watch tomorrow's video on my channel. The review is coming out, but it's this guy. It's the Beta FPV HX115 HD. That's the one. INFPV, the reason the PID frequency changes to 2K when you set the gyro to 4K is that the PID frequency is a fraction of the gyro. That's how Betaflight stores it. So if you've got it set to 4K, 8K 4K, then when you change to 4K gyro, it'll go to 2K PID loop. Static wants to know, what would cause my LED strip to not work on 3 flight controllers? Static, did you update to a new version of Betaflight and it's an F3 flight controller and it doesn't support LED strip anymore because F3s are kind of old and outdated? I mean, that's a kind of an open-ended question, my friend. I'm afraid that more information is needed. Chris W. wants to know, would using the incorrect voltage battery cause the drone to fly like crap above 40% throttle? I'm using 3S on the Tyro 109. Yeah, Chris, if you use a lower voltage battery, it usually doesn't make the quad, it makes it fly slower and weaker, but not oscillations. So anytime you've got higher throttle oscillations, then it could be excess P gain. But I'm going to guess that the default PIDs on the Tyro 109 are tuned for 4S, so you shouldn't have any oscillations on 3S. Did you screw with your PIDs, Chris? Tell the truth. Let's see here. Quadrophenia suggests that your LED strip is not working because of a timer conflict with RPM filters. I thought that bit-banged RPM fixed that. No more timer conflicts. Enzo Pedrera. Yes, I'm afraid you're right, Enzo. So this is the high-def version, is 209. That has a RunCam split nano. There is another version. There's another version that comes with the non-high-def version is only $150. Is that better? This one's even lighter. It's about 10, 12 grams lighter. So it ought to fly even better. But I have the high-def version. So if $200 for the high-def version is too much, maybe $160. How much is the Larva X? I think the Larva X comes in around $160. Ion FPV, if you have an F7, you are fine to run 8K 8K with RPM filtering. If you have an F4, you should run 4K 4K. That's my rule of thumb. Unicorn Socks says, I fried my... By the way, great username, Unicorn Socks. That's really cute. Fried my FC, and by the looks of it, the only thing that burned is the OSD module. Can I just replace the OSD module with a new one, or do I need to flash a care set to the OSD module? I'm not sure about that, Unicorn Socks. Betaflight Configurator can update the font on the OSD module. So if you have the soldering chops to put a new one on, you could do it. Give it a try. Thor Wright, thanks for $5 in the super chat. Acon F4 with Maytech HV can't get VTX to work on soft serial like it says on the website. Any tips? Thor Wright, what you need to do, what I would do in your situation is go to the CLI and type resource show on Betaflight 4.0 or 4.1. That's the command. And what you want to see is serial TX underscore 11. Serial underscore TX 11 in the resource show command. That will tell you that the soft serial is assigned to that pin. A lot of times when you try to set up resource remapping, maybe you've messed it up somehow and it's not actually on the pin, or there's a conflicting resource taking the pin and the soft serial isn't getting it. Thor, if you want to reach out to me on Facebook Messenger, I'll try and walk you through a little bit more detailed troubleshoot than we could easily do here on the live stream. But that's my suggestion. Anytime you got soft serial not working, the first thing I'll do is resource show, and you want to see serial TX11, which is the soft serial TX number 1. You want to see that in the output of resource show. If you don't see that there, then soft serial is not actually doing anything. Matt Wheat, thanks for $5 in the super chat. Thanks for everything. My son wants a quad that feels more like the DRL Racer 4. All we have to go by is the DRL Sim. I got him a 6-inch Chameleon. What motors? That is a tough one, Matt. I wouldn't necessarily trust that the DRL Racer 4 in the Sim feels like the real Racer 4, to be honest with you. Simulators do their best to sort of approximate an experience, but then, yeah, I'm not sure that's 100% accurate. The real thing about a Racer 4 is going to be, I think it's I don't even know the weight, but it's like 7-inch props on like 2010 something motors, just 2810 or massive motors. I'm not sure what you're going to get that will fly like that. Just the sheer weight of the Racer 4 is going to make it fly completely unlike a lighter quad. If you really want to try to build a quad that flies like a Racer 4, I guess what I would tell you to do is build a 7-inch and have a big honking battery to add weight. But the problem is then you get into a situation where you need bigger motors and bigger batteries to counteract that weight. So I'm not sure. Especially because I've never flown a Racer 4, so it's all hypothetical for me. Anyway. Redbeard the Pilot, thanks for $10. Keep up the awesome work. Thanks for the tutorial vids. Absolutely. Thank you, man. June Loco wants to know how to FPV on his 60-inch TV. You need a capture card. You need like an AV capture card that'll convert to HDMI. Let's see here. Flaparound FPV is suggesting for Matt Wheat the Project 399 practice rig. I think I know what you're talking about. Let's pull that up. The Project 399 practice rig is invented, I think it's for DCL, isn't it? Yeah, for the training for the, yeah, there you go. It was invented when the necessity for a large 7-inch basher was needed for training for DRL Season 4. So this frame is specifically designed to be used for training on large 7-inch rigs. Recommended 2408 to 2510 size motors. Yeah, 2510 is what the actual DRL Racer uses in 1300 kV. So great. That's a great suggestion. Thank you for that. Matt Wheat, I'm going to hit you with this link. And if you really want to try to build a 7-inch approximation of the Racer 4, this seems tailor-made. Thank you, chat, for those suggestions. The chat deserves that $5. Wesley Chen, is my recommendation for best overall camera no longer the Micro Eagle? I don't know, Wesley. Let's find out. Whenever you want to know what products I am recommending these days, no, that was not the correct spelling for my website. If you go back and freeze frame that, I'm not sure why those letters came out of my fingers. You can always go check out my website, fpvknowitall.com, which has all my product recommendations. And if you want to know about cameras, that's going to be under Best FPV Equipment. Cameras, let's see. Best image quality for the money is the Cadix Ratel. However, my personal choice is still the Runcam Micro Eagle. Yep. And for anybody out, before anybody out there says, Lee just says that because his name's on it. No, my name's on it because I like it. I think it's a very, very good camera. And I still put it on all my personal builds. Static is still trying to figure out why his LEDs aren't working. Static, there's no reason why those shouldn't work. I guess what I would tell you to do, Static, is go back to a stock default config and try to enable just the LEDs. And maybe there's some kind of conflict. Alep FPV is, let's see, what's going on with you, Alep FPV in the Discord? Thank you for being a patron, Alep. Having issues with my Betaflight build. It's on the CL 45 amp ESC. That's the CL Racing. 45 amp ESC on the CL Racing F7 Dual. As soon as I take off, the power tapers down to idle. What could be causing it? No issues on 4.0. Let's see. Let's watch this video. He says, I did not lower the throttle. It was at full throttle. Let's see. Where's the... Here we go. Let's get this. Okay. Here we go. Yikes. Okay. Well, a LEP FPV, the first thing I would want to know is in your OSD, what did the battery voltage do? Makes me wonder if the battery like sagged out or something. So do you have DVR of it? I got to go all the way forward. Let's see here. Wow. Okay. How far back was it? Let's see. So let me know in the Discord. We'll get back to you. Yeah. I mean, the battery is my first. Everybody in the chat is also guessing the battery. Alep, you say the battery's fine, but do you have DVR? Do you have DVR to check in the OSD that the voltage isn't dropping off? The battery could be healthy, but the wiring could be messed up. We don't know. So I would want to see the OSD. Let's see here. Sean Hales, thank you for $5. My Rapid Fire doesn't have a sync menu option. Yeah, you got to update the firmware. You got to update the firmware. It's a piece of cake to do, but you got to update the firmware. That's one of the things you want by the new firmware. Oh, Ciati's dropping bombs in the chat. People are talking about Kiss in the chat. Ciati says this, not me. Go bother him on his live stream. Kiss fans. Ciati says, I spent 2 months trying to get Kiss to fly anywhere near as good as Betaflight with 10 minutes of tuning. The problem with Kiss is once you spent the insane amount of money required to build, boom. Wow. You're going to say or feel it's awesome no matter what. Wow. Ciati hates Mr. Steele, I guess is what we're getting at here. UAV Tech says, I'll get an iFlight board that runs KISS for $35. UAV Tech, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's only KISS V1 though, isn't it? Chris W, is there a way for me to reset everything back to default PIDs? Chris W, that's a great question. Let's jump into Betaflight over here and let's show you how to reset everything back to default PIDs. Here I am on the PID tuning tab. The first thing you can do is, if you've jacked with your PIDs, you got 3 PID profiles. Probably you jacked with profile 1, but you didn't touch profile 2 or profile 3. So the first thing you can do is you can just switch to profile 3. And boop, there you go. Those are the defaults. And then you can even copy profile values. And you can copy the current profile over to profile 1. I'm not going to click copy because I don't want to do that. But that's one way to get your default PIDs back. On Betaflight 4.1, it's super easy to get your defaults back if you've used the sliders. Just move all the sliders back to 1.0 and boom, you're back at the defaults. The last resort thing to do is this. You go to the CLI and you type diff all oh, I typed it wrong. Diff all. You save that stuff out. You save that to a file. And then you type defaults. And that will reset your whole quad to defaults. And at that point, your PIDs are defaulted again. What you're going to do is you're going to then go to the CLI and type dump. And you're going to look for profile 0. This is PID profile 0. If you take this stuff and you copy this into your diff all, it'll just replace your profile 0 with this. It'll replace that to the defaults. That is a way to do it. Now, people in the chat are saying, and they're right, but why don't I just reset all profile values? I've used this a couple times, and I don't think it reliably worked. But you could certainly try that. I mean, that is what the button's there for. Oh, yeah. Wesley Chen is worried for my health. Here we go, Leslie. We're drinking raspberry lemonade today. Let's see here. Ooh, Ciotti. Oh man, Ciotti, you are going hard. People are accusing Ciotti of not knowing how to tune Kiss, and Ciotti's like, yeah, well, Steele was the one helping me tune, so suck it. Big name drop. Big name drop. Wow. Ooh. Anyway. Alep, my friend. Let's see. No, not that. Yeah. We got to know the voltage, Alep. DVR would do it. DVR would do it. Sean Hales, thank you for $5. Oh, I already got that. Hubbub FEV, thanks for $5. Keep doing what you do. Ho Operator, thanks for $5. Completely off topic. What's your thoughts on flat Earth? I think that people who claim that the Earth is flat, I can't tell whether they're just super trolling super hard and it's just gotten really out of hand, or whether they seriously believe it. That's what I think my thoughts are on flat Earth. It's unfortunate that the level of understanding of how science works and how evidence is evaluated is to a point where some people probably sincerely believe that the Earth is flat. So, oh, whoops. Sorry, guys. There we go. Since you gave a super chat, I'll give you a straight answer. But why is my CPU load so high? On my quad? It's because it's an F4 and it's running. It's because it's an F4. That's why. Somebody wants to know my PC specs. Nicholas Schwartz is begging to know my PC specs. All right, Nicholas. All right, I got you, man. What am I looking for here? Where's my PC specs? No, not that one. My PC specs. Nicholas Schwartz, this is just for you, man. There you go, buddy. There they are. Why am I only... Hey, I paid for 5 gigahertz. Get up there, 5 gig. I paid for 5 gigahertz. What's your problem? Oh, my goodness. Okay. Enoch FPV wants you guys... No, I'm not even going to say it. Jaden Baker, is my product ID important? Have I just like shared my... Am I going to get a virus now? 1080 Ti is the GPU, Wesley Chen. Yeah, I splurged on this computer because I wanted to be able to like stream. I wanted to be able to stream and run it like a simulator on the same PC. So, yeah. There you go. What do you think of the Eachine Tyro 109? The Eachine, damn it. The Eachine Tyro 109, all of the Eachine Tyro quads they're surprisingly good for what you pay, but at the same time not great. Like, the Tyro quads are like that burrito. Like a burrito from a street vendor. And it costs you $1. And while you're eating it, you're like, that's pretty good for $1. But then 6 hours later, you get food poisoning. That's the Tyro quads. They're good for the money, but objectively, they're not great, except that they're really well priced. And they're going to disappoint you at some point in the future. But I still recommend them for people who want a cheap build. It'll get you in the air. It will fly. They're not bad. You just got to know what you're getting for. Yeah. Really, FPV, I do cut my own grass. That's one of the things Yep, I do. When I was in Shenzhen, I went to Shenzhen, China, and me and Tony Cake were walking around in the morning. We were just walking, trying to find some place to get some breakfast, and I see this street vendor opening up, and I'm like, "Well, what about there? That looks good." And he's like, "That's street food. Are you sure you want to eat that?" And I was like, I guess not." Anyway. Alrighty. Jay Larson wants to know if the barometer can be calibrated. The barometer should auto-calibrate to ground level when you power up, shouldn't it? Anybody out there who actually, I don't actually fly with a barometer on any of my quads, but doesn't it calibrate to ground level when you first power up? Kyle K, if you go to New York City and you want to eat from a street vendor, New York City street vendors are some of the most highly regulated in the freaking world. I read an article or saw a video that said that a hot dog cart vendor outside like Central Park pays $375,000 a year for the rights to be there selling hot dogs. So I think in New York City you're going to be fine. As far as street vendors in China, I think maybe it's not that the food is inherently unhealthy. It's just that your digestive system is not ready for it. I think is the takeaway. And if I have mispronounced, someone says, pronounce Chinese cities correctly, please. If I have mispronounced Shenzhen, then what can I say? The chances of me pronouncing it right were slim to none. Crunked FPV is almost convinced Dank Forest to use KISS for his first build. Siati, you see what you did? Scott Bishel, what's the latest version of Betaflight I should run on my F3 board? The last version of Betaflight to fully support F3s was 357, I believe. UAV Tech will correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's right. 4.0 still supported F3s, but there were features missing, like GPS and other features were taken out. So I think, here's the thing, Scott. So many people say 357 flew great for me. I think if you had an F3 board, I'd consider just keeping it on 357. Anyway. Yeah, I think there's a difference, guys, between like a truck on the street and just like some dude making food off a table. Anyway. Alep is given the black box log. Ooh, let's dig into this black box log that Alep has sent. This is the quad that he took off, and then it just descended into the earth. We're gonna find out what's wrong. Probably not, but uh-oh. Am I gonna need to update my configurator? Probably. I hope not. So the first thing I want to check, is this the flight? I see that the throttle goes up, and then bonk, it lands. Is flight number 1 the flight? Are they all the flight, Alep? I'm going to assume it's flight number 1. The first thing I want to know is, I want to know what your battery voltage was. Battery voltage. So 15.3, 15.5. No, it does not look, okay, you're right. Does not look like battery voltage started at 15.5 and you went up, and I just don't see it like sagging out or doing anything crazy. So then let's look at what the motors do, okay? What do the motors do? So as you arm and raise the throttle, the motors start up. The motors accelerate as you raise the throttle. Then, aha, here's the problem. So the problem is that motor 1 and motor 2 are stopping making thrust. Motor 1 and motor 3, my mistake. First motor 3 maxes out at 100%. And as it does it, motor 1 climbs, and then motor 1 maxes out at 100%. So whenever you see in the black box log that a motor goes to 100% and stays there, one of two things is happening. One is that you've pegged the throttle and the quad is accelerating, and the other is that the quad is doing a death roll, or as in your case, is just going. So we've got a bad motor or bad ESC here. The flight controller is saying to the motor, speed up, speed up, speed up! And that's not happening because we can see that the quad is descending. So let's look at a few of these others, and I want to see if motor 3 and motor 1 are always the ones that have this problem. Boom. So here we go. We take off. Let me turn on the stick overlay here. Boom. Motor 3, pegged at 100%, and we crashed. Motor 1, pegged at 100%. Okay? The motors should always, if the quad is hovering flat, the motors should always be relatively similar to each other. Boom. Motor 1, pegged at 100%. Motor 3. So, motor... Oh, fuck. I'm sorry, guys. Damn it. I'm sorry, guys. What? I changed back to my face, and then I didn't change away. So here we got motor 1, pegged at 100%. Motor 3, pegged at 100%. Nothing there. Just a little hover. Motor 3, pegged at 100%. Yeah, so motor 3 is definitely having some kind of a problem. Okay? So, yeah, Alep, replace motor 3. If it still does it, replace ESC 3. That's the short version of the takeaway from here. All righty. Thomas Bird Jr., thanks for $2 in the super chat. New 6S N20 Extreme. One cell was 2.50. Is it bad? Thomas Bird, if you have any battery, any LiPo that's below 3.0 volts per cell and stays there, then I would consider that cell dead. Some people will tell you, oh, you can recover the cell. That's very risky. The battery is sort of not safe to trust once it's been damaged. So, and there will be people out there who will say, no, that's silly. I did it and I got it. But there's somewhere out there, there's somebody. This is a fact. This is not a hypothetical. I'm not making this up. Somewhere out there, there's a guy. And he sent me a picture of his burnt up garage. And he said a LiPo lit off. And I said, what do you how did that happen? And in investigating the story, it came out that the LiPo had been fully discharged and he had recovered it using the methods that people talk about. That damaged the battery, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it was a recovered battery that just spontaneously burned his garage down. So I would say if the cell is below 3.0 and it's staying there, I would retire the battery. You could retire the cell if you want to just take the cell off the pack and make it into a 5S pack. That is, but if it's a brand new battery and it just came and it was dead, Get FPV will surely replace it for you, because that's, Craig Larson wants to know, what's the difference between updating my drone's firmware and upgrading Betaflight? Could I affect the drone's performance if I upgrade either of these? Craig, there's two components that you need to know about. One is the Betaflight configurator. That's the app that's this thing. This is Betaflight configurator, right? This is what you use to interface with the firmware on the quad. But there is also code running on the quad. And if you look up here, you'll see the configurator version is 10.6.0. But the Betaflight version is 4.1.0. You can update your configurator all you want. If you update the Betaflight firmware, and you do that by going to the firmware flasher, and then you'll flash your firmware to the flight controller. If you do that, you will lose your configuration. You'll lose the configuration. So, in other words, before you flash your quad, go to the CLI and type diff all, and then save that to a file on your desktop somewhere. That is a backup of your configuration. And with that information, you can restore your configuration. It's not just as simple necessarily as pasting it all in, but there are specific parts of it you can paste in to restore your configuration. Yeah, Wiccan FPV, that's my perspective too, my friend. Would you really leave a battery in your house that you even have doubts are bad with your kids sleeping? Not me. Not me either. I understand if you're hard up for money and you know, $20 for a battery, it kills you. You got 4 batteries. And I know you're out there. You just barely afforded a quad. You got 4 batteries. They're the only batteries to your life. And it kills you to throw one out because you accidentally over discharged it. But like, okay, don't throw it out. But for God's sakes, don't keep it in your house. Because, like, when they go, they usually don't go bad. But when they go bad, they burn your freaking house down. And that's just not something anybody wants. People still arguing about Kiss. Hey, Ciati, are you streaming tonight? I assume you're streaming tonight, right? Is Ciati streaming tonight after me? Oh, is that Crunk? Oh my goodness. I have to check something. Okay. Is there a way to power the SkyZone Sky02C to play on simulators without using a LiPo? Now, the SkyZones, can you power them from USB? I don't think so. I think you need a LiPo, man. Ciati FPV. Yeah, so we are coming close to the end of the stream. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I'll take a few more questions. But Ciati is going to be streaming after me. What are you doing tonight, Ciati? Ciati will let us know. Sometimes he does Q&A. Sometimes he does builds. Sometimes he does video editing. June Loco, why do you dislike the Larva X? June Loco, you can check my review of the Larva X. I thought the Larva X flew really well, but the way that the stack is held together is just the minute you have a head-on crash, the whole thing falls apart. So I wasn't my fan. I wasn't a fan of that. Yeah. So Ciati is going to post the link to his stream. When I finish up, right around 10 o'clock, Ciati is going to come on his own channel. Ciati recently got the requirements to apply for monetization. Ciati's going to put RPM filters on a whoop. Nice. Nice. Mighty FPV says, my quad tilts to one side when armed. What do you think is the problem? Mighty FPV, if you are in angle mode, you may need to calibrate your accelerometer or trim your accelerometer. Also, you need to make sure that you have your channels centered at 1500 in the receiver tab. Gap Tooth Granny asked this before, but it got missed. I have a DYS F4 Mini, no response from the S-Bus port. Receiver is bound and working. Well, the thing is, Gap Tooth, if it's an F4, then only the S-Bus port is going to work because only the S-Bus port has an inverter. If you move to a different RX pad, it's not going to work unless you do the uninvert hack on your receiver. So most likely you've selected the wrong UART by accident. Go into the ports tab and go through the UARTs one by one, enabling serial RX on each one and save. And yeah. Let's see here. Crunked. Let's see here. Verjan FPV is plugging a UFDA live stream. Verjan, I don't, yeah. Oh, you're inviting me. You're inviting me to be on the UFDA live stream. Oh, man. I don't know if I could possibly stream more than, I guess it wouldn't be my stream. Super Sigma wants a 5-inch frame that can fit a Kakute F7 with AIO without needing to rotate it clockwise. Super Sigma, surely a frame like the Rotor Riot CL1 or the TBS Source 1 would be roomy enough. License to drive, why did you have to set the throttle on the T16 to 1500 to 2000 for it to work on a sim? I'm going to guess you're using FPV FreeRider. FPV FreeRider is screwy. It doesn't calibrate the sticks right, and the sticks have to be set up really weird. So, let's see here. All right, Ciati is posting his link. In just about 4 minutes, we're going to finish up here. And anybody who wants to can go check out Ciati's link. He is putting RPM filters on a Tiny Whoop. Have I tried the GEP FPV Phantom? I think that's actually what's in this box. Is that what this is? GEP RC. What is this? Yeah. No, I haven't tried it. Here it is in this box. That's the answer. I heard it's really good, though. That's why I asked for it. Have I missed any super chats? Have I? I don't think I have missed it. I think I've caught all the super chats. I can't stop streaming until the $200 donation disappears. Nah, I'm done at 10. I gotta let Ciati have the stage. How do I get rid of the $200 donation? Clear super chats. No. Let's see here. We got all the chats caught up. What's my thoughts on the Tango 2, Thomas Bird Jr.? Anybody got any pictures of the TBS Tango 2? I haven't seen a picture of it. Oh, anybody leaked any pictures? I mean, I haven't seen any leaked pictures of it. So, the TBS Tango, I've never loved it. It's got the FPV screen on the front. It seems like it takes up a lot of room. It's got that wide. It's just never been my. It's never been my thing. Wesley Chen. I have never had a fan show up at my house, Wesley. I don't make a secret of my address, and people are like, sometimes people will say, "Hey, I'm going to be in town. Do you care if I drop by?" And that's kind of where, I mean, like, that's just kind of where I'm busy. It's my house. So I usually don't invite random strangers who are passing through town over to rip my house. So. What? New fat sharks? Steele leaked the Tango 2 on Instagram, but Trappy had a heart attack and it was taken down. Haha. Yeah, I thought that was it. Okay. Oh, all right, guys. It's 2 minutes to the hour. It's 2 minutes to the hour, and we are going to start wrapping up. Thank you guys so much for coming out. My next stream will be, let me check my calendar, make sure I get this right. My next stream will be Sunday the 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern. This week, I am definitely getting the HX115 review out. I also am finally flying the iFlight Sedora and iFlight Nazgul. So I'll be recording those reviews, although they may not be out. And I still got to figure out when I'm going to go to Atlanta and do the iFly and try to break someone's quad thing with Steele. He said he was up for it. So that'll be a review of the Apex frame, and I'll get to fly one of Steele's quads finally. So that'll be very exciting. Yeah. And more goodness. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I'm going to hand the stage over to Ciati FPV. Ciati, post that link one more time. And thank you guys so much. Happy flying, everybody.